Hey everybody, we're live. Welcome to Zennie62 at the NFL Draft, featuring our noted NFL Draft expert, long time friend, about a generation, Bill Carroll. How does that feel, Bill? You're a generation old, dude.
I was telling somebody that the first time we met at the draft, I thought I was going to win yet. I started in college.
Yeah. And then we've got Donovan James, relative newcomer, always been here before. And looks like Billy D. Williams. Dude, you look like Billy D. Williams. What's up with that?
Man, I've heard that a lot. That's a good comparison.
It's true, though.
The whole league's like him.
Yeah, see? There you go.
I'll take it.
And last but certainly not least, in fact, last but the first, we have Greg Rector, newest member of Zennie62 Media. Greg, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Woohoo! All right. And we're talking about the 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. Gentlemen, and I'll start clockwise. Greg, Bill, Donovan. What about this draft did you learn that you didn't expect to know?
This is going to be a draft where pure football fans get to see football players grow without huge expectations. That is one of the biggest things this draft can do every other draft that we've had in the last 5 years. This reminds me of 2013. This is the draft that I see anyway.
You said Apollo 13?
No, 2013.
Oh, 2013. Where did you get Apollo 13 from?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Bill? Oh, I know where I got it from. Never mind. Bill, go ahead.
The things that stand out to me is I heard a lot of talk about tiers, right? It's a big thing to talk about. That there's these tiers, there's all this room between this tier and that tier. I don't think there's a lot of space between the tiers, almost regardless of position. Quarterback is probably the one exception. right? Where you have one guy who's way up here, and then it's like an ant fight beneath it, right? For all the other spots. But despite all the talk about Jeremiah Love being a generational talent, he's a really good player. I don't feel like there's a huge gap between him and the running backs. I don't feel there's a huge gap between David Bailey or Ruben Bain or whoever you think is the number one pass rusher and the other pass rushers. I don't think there's a huge gap between Keenan Sadiq and Tanner Koziel or Max Player or whoever you think the next few tight ends are. And let's get a show about wide receivers. And I think Rufus had the same guy, but number one. But I don't think any of us have the same person at number two. And I think our number, everyone's had a different number 10. I think our number 4 and 5 were somewhat similar, but there was a lot of variance in what we had in the top 10 wide receivers. Corners, I think people agree a lot, but they're looking at no big gap. Like people think of Hezekiah Masses, big in Cal, as a guy who's in that second or third tier. But if he ends up having the best career of any corner in the class, he won't shot. So it's a very, I think, compressed is the term I would use. With the exception of quarterbacks, it's a little more elongated because you have Mendoza, and then a gap, and then whoever you think number 2 or number 3 are, and then a gap. And then last 4, so 6 guys, and then you have a gap. But all the other positions, I think everyone's kind of bunched together.
And what do you
think? Donovan, we're going to ask you the same question.
I would say the biggest thing that stands out that's just versatility. I just think you can get a lot of different things all field on the field. I look at a lot of these guys that have been in college for a long time. The older prospects, 24, 25-year-old, or the young 21-year-old prospect. You got versatility with that. You got I mean, look at the winner, man. There's different types of tight ends, different types of wide receivers, or the X and receivers. A lot of tight ends, a lot of edge, like Bill said, corner. I mean, there's versatility all over the place. Quarterbacks, you get your standard first down quarterback, pocket quarterback. Just all around. Man. It's a deep draft. I know it's not very top heavy, but the deep draft is a little bit better than consensus what people think. Honestly, especially in the like this is a really safety question. I think the quarterback class is a little bit better than credit for. The edge rush is probably good. I love the wide receivers. Love it. I didn't so yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see what happens. But this draft, I think, is better than some of the past draft because you can get a little bit. It's a sampler. You could cheer without me and whatever. The sampler for the advertising instead of getting the one. I think that's just kind of that. Honestly, this year. It'd be fun. It's gonna be fun to see. That's why it's wide open because you just don't. It's like 50 guys that can draft in the first round. I can't say that about a lot of it. It's good and bad.
I think for me, I've said it before and I'll say it again. This draft is a path breaker, a milestone draft because of the amazing speed of the defenders. And in fact, I believe, although I have an asterisk, that if, and here's the asterisk, the right schemes are employed and some teams look at these players and say, I'm going to draft a quartet of linebackers or quartet of linebackers and edge rushers or inside linebackers, and I'm going to focus on getting up and getting these great athletes as early as I can. We're going to see a record-setting in terms of points and in terms of scoring defense built from this draft, if that happens. Okay, now if they use the wrong scheme, then of course, right? But I realized this because as Bill knows, I love to design plays, and I've designed plays since I was 16. But this is a draft that really makes you think from a time motion study perspective about what you're doing, and it makes you look at plays that are drawn up on a whiteboard where you have, say, a flanker running an end around and coming all the way around here. I'm thinking, okay, how long does that take for him to go around here? And is my offensive line going to give that much time for that pattern to occur? According to handoff in that end around, and if they have enough time to do that, will they be able to make it around in? Because more often than not, I've seen over the last 3 years, the answer is no. All right, no. It used to be that worked. All right, but you can tell which defensive coaches, took physics in school and understand what time motion study is, and others didn't. Most of them didn't. And this is going to be the draft that exposes that answers a number of analytical questions. In other words, which team actually has an analytics office that's actually doing some work to help them form game plans, because maybe the people that hired them figured out that they were doing more than just cute stuff because they didn't understand math, all right? And they're going to stop the angels and devils on their shoulder, as a number of teams are starting to stop doing. And we're going to really get some creative football like the Broncos have brought us with Sean Payton. What Sean Payton is doing, if you take a look at it, is really the answer to how you play defenses today. Asymmetric formations, quick passes that are down the middle, taking advantage of the speed of the wide receiver, formations that guarantee the openness of a receiver. His offense is a beautiful thing to watch, and I think it's his best work he's ever done. I really do, design-wise. Yep. And but the question is, who's next? Is it Liam Cohen? Can make a good stab for him. Is it who's the brother that was the pass coordinator for the Patriots, who's done such a wonderful job? Forgot his name. Thomas. I interviewed him too.
Thomas Brown, you mean?
I interviewed him. I interviewed Mr. Brown at the NFL Minority Symposium in Atlanta here in 2022. Yeah, great guy. You're going to see a lot of young minds like that emerging this year, but you're going to need them because these defenders are superhuman. I mean, used to talk about, oh, this guy leaped a car as like once in a lifetime or once in a while thing. Now it's like all the time. It's incredible. And this draft and I can't wait to see them get going. It's going to be so exciting.
But there are new defensive coordinators here. Out of the 32 to 20 new defensive coordinators. The Bills was 3-4. Cowboys was 3-4.
Yep.
I mean, this is going to be a test of that is one thing that you're talking about, the mapping. And Texas Hartford has guys that has been signed for and traded for to fit his system. We'll see what happens.
So hey Greg, I gotta ask you, who emerges with the best defense this year?
I still love the Browns defense.
You said Browns?
The Browns.
Yeah, I agree.
Still love that defense.
100%, yeah.
But
I also take the Texans.
the Texans would absolutely have to be number one for me.
Yeah. Bill?
Yeah, and that's the thing about team building, and that's what the draft is more responsible for than anything else. Obviously, we had the first wave of free agency. That always gets a lot of attention because of the amount of money that's there. But when you study historically, the teams that quote unquote win free agency very rarely win more than free agency. That's usually the biggest victory is having won the offseason or won free agency. The way that the consistently winning built to the draft. And so when I look at what Howie Roseman tends to accomplish and what Steve tends to accomplish, and just saw the work that John Schneider's done. We've seen the work that consistently Brett Veach does. Because they're not just thinking about the version of the team that's going to take the field right now. They're always thinking about the team 2-3 years down the road. And not just the talent part of it, but also nowadays just about the structure of the contract, where guarantees kick in, and when you can move on from certain players. And a lot of discussions about the Dolphins, and everyone asks, is the team quote unquote tanking? And everyone who's ever been around a football player knows that football players don't tank. Right? The game is difficult. It's too difficult to see the field, to get ready to play. They're never going to tank. Now, there are organizations, and very famously, speaking of the Texans, tried to. I was going to say they tried to make it clear to their head coach it wouldn't break their hearts if they lost the last game of the season. But they also let Lovie Smith know he was gone, and whether it was whether it was sort of a middle finger kind of situation, or Lovie's very much a Christian man. He wouldn't actually literally with a finger, but very famously, coached his butt off in that last game of the season. They won that game, and of course, no one got a shot at the first player taken overall in the draft. But football players and football coaches do not tank. Now, there are organizations that aren't terribly incentivized to win, which is two different things. Because even when you try to tell players and coaches, hey, we don't have to win the game, it's just too wired, too hardwired into the competitors that become to become a head coach in the NFL. You have to pass a lot of filters. And anyone who doesn't have a maniacal level of competitiveness isn't going to pass those filters successfully. And once again, Donovan knows this. There's lots of extremely talented people who just don't have the level of drive that it takes. Look at all the way to the NFL. So players don't tank, coaches don't tank. Organizations may try. We've been preparing for this draft. Do you have a favorite position group? One that you've enjoyed the most studying?
Favorite position group? I'll probably say wide receiver. Okay. Wide receiver and edge. Probably too much.
Who was the biggest?
For me, it's always quarterback.
Whether it be
quarterback, I'm not gonna lie to you. The quarterback class is great. I mean, it's better than people, but it's still not amazing. But wide receiver, I'm always in that quarterback class. Bill knows and work with quarterbacks and some 4 or 5 of them just that. So I'm excited for it. But I would definitely say receiver and probably quarterback player.
And has that proximity changed the way you see any of those guys as prospects?
With the receivers,
or the quarterbacks? Like being around these things.
What was the question? Say that one more time. I feel like feedback. I was noticing that. Does anybody have like multiple tabs open of the Oh, maybe that's it. I'm not me. I only have one. Okay. I don't know.
I have multiple tabs open, but not a StreamYard. No.
But not okay. Yeah, not a. Or of the YouTube that where the show's edited.
No.
Okay. No.
Why?
Sorry.
What kind of feedback? Are you getting some feedback, Bill?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Huh. I think the one thing that's going on is that here, in the living room, there's a tennis match because Mom wants to watch tennis.
That's all right. I don't think that's that. I think it's that somebody's mic is picking up the show.
Oh.
Yeah. But
That's all.
I think we're going now.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh, you know what it is, Bill? No, Bill, I know precisely what's wrong. I have the audio echo cancellation turned off.
Oh, there
That's
we go.
what it was.
That's better now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That made a huge difference.
Yeah.
So, Bill, repeat your question again. I'm sorry.
So my question was,
hey, I gotta say this.
Your proximity.
It's like they're driving me nuts. I don't know what it is. It's
due to you being where you are, not where you physically are now, but where you've been, and being around those quarterbacks, and then the wide receivers to whom they're throwing. Has that proximity changed your view of any of those players that you've been, up close and personal with?
I try not to let it, but yeah, it has. Just being the QB summit with Jordan Palmer and Jared Garantano and Kyle Allen and all those guys throwing, it's changed. Just looking at quarterback tape and chopping it up and talking to some of these guys, it excites me for some of them. It kind of gives me just a different point of view from what they've been going through the season and everything. Obviously, the main quarterback that I've been around throwing is Drew Aller. And, watching him throw in the offseason, recovering from the ankle injury has been great. I've talked to you off the record about a lot of stuff with Mr. Aller. So watching guys like Cade Klubnik throw as well, it's been fun. And Miller Moss and Sawyer Robinson, those guys. So I think the quarterback class is a little bit better, like I said, and obviously watching some of those guys throw and work out this offseason has just been fun. And it's also just been kind of like mind-blowing to watch them like in person. Like it's just way different, man. I know it's shorts and a shirt on or whatever. It's different, a Nike dry fit or whatever, but still watching those guys just
underwear Olympics.
Yeah, underwear Olympics. But watching some of those guys throw and run and just I don't get to be in the room with them, on the whiteboard and everything, but just talking to the guys around them that are. There's some really good talent deep in this draft, so I'm excited to see where that goes. And then the receivers, like you said, the guys throwing to them, it's just a loaded class of receiver. Like you can find a guy in the day 3 that's going to be a star. There's a bunch of guys, and this is one of the most talented wide receiver groups from top to bottom I've seen. There's no mega star, Calvin Johnson or Julio Jones type guy, but just like the depth overall of like the receiver core is just really great to me. There's like 15, 20 guys that I really have high grades on. And then there's specialty guys,
Yeah.
your speedsters and your big guys, and there's maybe a couple guys that might convert to receiver too that we've talked about. So yeah, this is a really good class for that. And like I said, quarterback class is fun, and it's
Donovan, I have a question because I haven't had a chance to meet or talk with you.
yes, sir. Of
Do
course.
you also coach quarterbacks? Is there a quarterback out there that we should be talking about that you're responsible for?
I don't coach quarterbacks, no, but I do social media for the QB Summit, which is owned by Jordan Palmer,
Yeah.
which I mean, obviously, Coach Josh Allen before the draft and Joe Burrow, and he's done a hell of a job. And I'm only with them a little bit. I'm not with them year round or anything like that. But being with those guys just for the few months that I am, it's just, yeah. I mean, I'm not coaching them like I said, but I'm with the guys that are coaching them. I've been there. It's like 30 years. My 30th year doing this with these guys. Yeah. So,
Hey, tell people who
the main guy they have right now is
tell them what the QB Summit is if they've never
yeah,
heard.
of course. Yeah, so the QB Summit, it started, obviously when Jordan retired. Jordan was coaching when he was still playing. And obviously when he retired full time, he went into coaching. He coached at Elite 11, like Bill mentioned earlier, Elite 11, the opening. He was coaching there, and then he brought it out to San Diego, to Orange County, and now to Florida. He's coaching high school quarterbacks, which is mostly the stuff I do, high school football recruiting, doing college quarterbacks as well, and obviously NFL quarterbacks, and a lot of development for the draft, a lot of development with a lot of, he has so many different types of quarterbacks too. Last year was Kyle McCord, Jalen Milroe, I mean, Ethan Garbers, like just, you get such a variety, like, what I mean? The versatility is unmatched, like the way he does. And he likes to just pick you apart. Like Jordan's great. Obviously, his brother is Carson, of course. So you don't really see Carson out there too much, but he's coaching high school football now. He's busy, but they're close. You might get anybody that pops up with Jordan though at QB Summit. Everybody is always looking for Josh to show up. He's busy. He's about to have a baby. He just got married.
Yeah.
Stuff. But he might pop up though.
Hey, his wife has. I think his wife doesn't quite have an Oscar. She would have had it if they got Best Picture.
Yeah.
But
Haley,
nonetheless, she's got some money in her pocket.
Yeah, exactly. She's great. She's been in the game for a long time, singing and acting. So yeah, no, you might see anybody. I mean, last time I was out there, Joe Milton, Hendon Hooker, both are out there. Ethan Garbers, Kyle Allen's always out there. That dude's working his ass off every offseason, dude. That's why he's still in the NFL. Yeah, because a lot of people are like, man, Kyle Allen's been in the NFL for like 8-9 years. It's like, well, he works, bro. Like I see him, like he's out here teaching these high school kids, and he's grinding. Like Joe Milton, he got helped out a lot by Jordan Palmer. So that's just what I do, just social media part of it. I'm not developing or helping the quarterbacks, but my 2 cents hopefully helps out, gets these guys exposure, especially the high school guys. A lot of these guys aren't 5 stars, they're not 4 stars. Some of them are 0 stars. Some of them are 8th grade, like Bill said. They're just getting their name out there. 7th graders, and they're just working. Shea Patterson, good friend of mine, like been talking to him for a long time. Had him on Bill's show, I think twice. One in high school, one after in college. So he's out there sometimes, when he's not up in Canada throwing. So it's fun to see some of these guys processing their journey. Like somebody like Shea, I've known since he was a junior in high school, and now he just had a baby, just got married, about to turn 30. So like I've been around him for a long time before the QB Summit stuff. So it's been fun, and QB Summit's been a part of everything just because obviously what Jordan's been doing. He's got Bryce Underwood out there, Julian Sams throwing a lot. You just never know who you're gonna see. It's fun. You've got your guys that are always out there throwing, and then you got guys that are just like Mike White's a coach. He's one of the best, man. I love Mike White. Jared Garantano, same thing. He's coaching right now in the offseason, so you just never know what you're gonna see. But right now, Drew Aller, Kate Klubnik are kind of the 2 top main attractions, I guess you would say, for him this offseason.
Donovan, you made an observation that you get a wide variety of quarterbacks. Why is that?
I think Jordan just likes the challenge, man. He likes the challenge. Like we had Kyron Jones come in for the a little trial run. He's a project, right? He's a quarterback that is going to take a lot of work. He likes that, but he also likes having the top dog too. One of the top quarterbacks. And last year was just a perfect example. Having a guy like Jalen, there's so much to fix that Jordan was just like so happy about it, and all these coaches were so happy because they saw the talent, but there's so much stuff they wanted to fix: the footwork, the dropbacks, the 2-step drops, the 5-step drop, the 7-step drop that he really had barely even done in his career. Drops like that, 7-step drops, like he looked so awkward doing it. You know what I mean? So if you watched him in high school, if you watched him at Bama, like it's not something that they asked him to do really. So I think he likes those challenges. I think he likes the challenge of Kyle McCord last year. Um, let's get him, doing dinking and dunking. You don't have to make a hero ball throw every time. So just he's doing that this year. Same thing. Drew Aller, he's not 100% yet. But obviously you guys saw what he did at the combine. That was something that was cool for me. I got to see most of that script before it happened, so it was pretty much on par. It was better, honestly, than advertised. I'm not just saying that, because they don't, I don't get paid enough to say that. but I still got a normal job, 9 to 5. But no, watching him, and I was telling Bill, man, some of the guys like just talking to him, finding out what they like. I'm a very personable guy. Like I want to know, I want to open it up. Kate Klubnik, I had like the best conversations with him about politics, and I don't agree with everything, but about everything, about religion. You try not to really talk about that stuff, but if they bring it up, they bring it up. Like we can talk about anything. I want to be versatile enough. I want to be like Bill Carroll, man, where I can talk about anything. I'm sure you guys can too. I just obviously know Bill better. Greg, I've known you for a while too, and everybody. But I want to be able to talk about anything, or just retain the knowledge and be a sponge and soak it up. So, talking to these guys off the field, really getting to know them a little bit, because I don't know these guys like that, but getting to know them is cool. I'll tell you this, man. He's got 4 guys this year. I really feel like that are going to be good. If they can be in the right situations. When I say good, I'm not saying they're going to be a Pro Bowl quarterback. I'm just saying you really want your guys to have a big time career, man. I look at a guy, a perfect example, Kyle. I bring him up, or this Mill. Looks like those guys have. That's a good
Say his
career.
name again because it got garbled.
Oh, Davis Mills and Kyle Allen are both guys that those are good careers. Like I know people on Twitter be like, those guys suck, dude. Like they're not good. Like
Who did I say?
that's a good career for
Davis Mills is awesome.
Mr.
Davis
Bill?
is great. Like and
Yeah.
I mean, like just a lot of people are just not in the NFL, man. Like it's hard. Like you ask anybody that played the game at a high level, like it's hard to stick around to have a cup of coffee, cup of tea at least. So to do it for 8, 9, 10 years is
Davis
collecting
Mills-
checks. You got that's a good job. That's one of the best jobs in sports to be a back.
Donovan, what bothers me is that like Davis Mills played under David Shaw.
Yeah.
And the number of quarterbacks that are out there that have been under David Shaw for all of that, he should be offensive coordinator, head coach. I mean, what do you think is going on?
Oh, this is
With David Shaw.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not sure.
Personally, so
I don't know
saying
if it's
in terms of
maybe.
observation,
I don't know if it's him. I mean, he's got a solid job right now. I know it's not. Obviously he's with Detroit, passing game specialist. It's not. Or I guess he's with. He's with Denver for a while in the front office. But I would like to see him back. He's still a pretty relatively young guy. I would say he's like only
he's
early
54.
50s.
54.
54. Oh yeah, he's really young then. Younger than I thought. I thought he was like 60. But
Have you seen his TED Talk?
Oh yeah.
No, I've never seen that. He's one of the smartest.
You gotta see my man's TED Talk. Oh
no, I would love to see that. I've talked to a lot of KJ Costello is a guy that I talked to on the regular, and he obviously played under Coach Shaw too, and they just and Davis too. They rave about him. I mean, Davis Davis is from Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. Like Davis Shaw flew out there to see him, and he was like, "My parents just fell in love with this guy, dude." And like, his dad's a hard ass, Davis Mills, like warrior, like he sees the bullshit a lot, and he's like, "Dude, I love this guy. You got to go to Stanford, all the way from, Atlanta, Georgia, like your neck of the woods." I lived there too, for like 10 years in Georgia as well.
I'm not from here. I'm actually from Oakland.
From Oakland. Okay, cool. I'm
Yeah,
from California as well, but not Oakland. I'm
yeah.
from San Diego. San Diego.
I'm here because my mom, she's 92 now, and
Okay.
so I'm caregiving for her. So and I've been out here since November 20th of 2019.
Okay.
But I didn't give up my place in Oakland until December 2024 because I was literally, my clients are back home because you do not just covering, but as Bill knows, we do reputation management.
Right.
So anyway,
I
yeah.
was,
But no, I don't want to talk your up about that. Well, you guys did ask me, so I just want to answer the questions. But I mean, yeah, it's just fun. I think the versatility is cool. I think Jordan wants to challenge his guys. Like he doesn't have a bunch of yes men. I'll say that. That's the kind of interesting thing too. He has guys that are actually challenging these quarterbacks. Like I've seen them get into it because they're like, man, like I thought I was. Well, I mean, these guys are paying to be coached, and it's like you kind of expect like, but no, like this is not. He cuts it. High school. It doesn't matter if you're high school or you're in an NFL. Like he doesn't really care. I won't curse. I guess I don't know if I can curse on this one. He doesn't care.
Fuck, man. Of course you can.
Oh, I was like, he doesn't give a shit. Basically, is what I was gonna say. Yeah.
we're on
He's a West Coast chill, laid back guy. Like I'm sure, like you guys probably like my interview Jordan when
Santa
he came
Margarita,
out.
yeah, all that, yeah.
But he's laid back, but he can flip it. Like
Yep.
he can flip it like quick, and some of his guys can too. Like Mike White, like he'll get in your ass, bro. He's a little fiery guy. Not little, he's big, but you know what I mean. He's a fiery guy.
Yep.
And some of these
My age. When I hear Mike White, I think of the coach from Illinois.
Yes, right.
God,
Who also coached with the Raiders.
Yeah.
And who also
he means so at one point he was one of two Mike Whites in the NFL who were quarterbacks.
Bill, technically, Mike
White from Western Kentucky.
This is the Western Kentucky one who was in that
South
great
Florida
duel
too.
with speaking of Cowboys, Cooper Rush in the Bahamas Bowl.
Hey, Bill, Mike White at Illinois was the first user, arguably inventor of the levels concept.
Yep.
Short, and then that.
I am aware, and I watched what he taught Jack Trudeau and Illinois.
Throwing Samoan, yeah.
Well, no, the throwing Samoan was Jack Thompson.
That's right.
But Jack Trudeau was throwing Canadian. Well, not Canadian American, but he had family in
Canadian.
Canada.
I like that.
I guess he was just an American citizen, but I think his father's side had whatever. But here's the point that I remember it being sort of a revelation in the Big Ten, right?
Yep.
Until finally, that was Illinois' thing. And then when they moved on from him, they brought in Makovic, who also had pro coaching experience. I know, but I've got Makovic stories too, and this is not the time or the place.
It is the time or the place.
Because we're trying to talk about other stuff.
I'm going to tell my Makovic story.
I was a graduate assistant at University of Illinois when Makovic and others were working on trying to sign Donovan McNabb. We ended up going to Syracuse, obviously. And one of the things that Donovan was trying to extract from Coach Makovic and the staff was a promise, a signed in blood kind of deal that they would, keep him at quarterback. They were obviously, as was often the case, people that wanted to bring him in as a athlete. And what Makovic would tell him is that you'll get a chance to compete at quarterback. He said, I don't promise anybody anything, but you'll get a chance to compete. And that wasn't quite enough, apparently, for Donovan until he went to Syracuse. But we did get his teammate, who was, a couple of years ahead of him in school, in Simeon Rice, who was an extremely good player for University of Illinois. But and a guy who probably should be in the Hall of Fame, but that's a whole other discussion. But I'm really intrigued as we go through the pro days by some of the guys who haven't gotten that much discussion. We just saw Max Tomczak, the nephew of Mike Tomczak, just have a terrific pro day, and he had a terrific collegiate career. And, all the things that people say about guys like him, guys whose names have a lot of hard consonants, some of those things are true. He is tough. He is gritty or whatever, but he's actually a really good actual athlete. Like, I think people get fooled, by the way he looks or by like I said, the extremely, Slavic name, but the guy is a legit athlete. He would thrive in a system like the Rams or really any system that is you know about precision and timing a lot, Zennie. And he is a guy who is a very, very precise route runner and really understands the game. Once again, Mike Tomczak's nephew, but he's been around the game obviously all his life. If he goes to the right team, I can see him having a really, really nice career. I'm not going to continue to bludgeon people over the head about how good I think Ted Hurst is. I think people had enough of me bloviating about Ted Hurst, but I really have a high regard for what I think he could become.
Why did I put him on my list last night, Bill?
I really wanted to find room for him on my list. I may have to push, I don't know, maybe Mr. Bell out. But I got to. Those are two guys I sort of feel similarly about.
Yeah.
In fact, I probably like Ted Hurst slightly better for my taste, but I think the NFL is going to lean more towards Mr. Bell for their taste. But we'll see how it all plays out.
And the throwing Samoan is Joe Pow from Long Beach State.
Well, that is right. There's been a few guys actually that have been called throwing Samoan.
All right, I'm going to get this Makovic story out of the way because it happened. And it was a learning experience for me personally. First of all, I was a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, as I think Greg and Bill are aware, since a chain of events that happened with Otis Sistrunk being in our living room in 1975. My mom had befriended him. Long story there. Never dated him. And she said, Zennie, Otis is here. I had no idea who Otis Sistrunk was. I was not into football. I thought football was something that black folks should not do. And the reason why I thought that was because at 6 years old, I noticed that all the coaches were white and all the players are black. So the idea of me being interested in football was kind of like as far away as we are from Alpha Centauri. And so here's this, fellow downstairs. I didn't exactly know what he did. Look, I was 15. And it was not the internet. This was, it was a world before we were hyper connected.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was really into Star Trek. Went to the first Northern California Star Trek convention, worked it, met Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, Mark Leonard, who played Spock's father, blah, 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 blah. And so I said, hey, Mr. Sistrunk, you watch Star Trek? And he said, what? And so I thought, okay, well, this isn't going anywhere. So I thought I had a Nikon camera. And I was very proud of my photography. And he said, this is my Nikon I was showing off. He goes, I don't know how to use a camera. So I said, well, Mr. Sistrunk, I'm working on stuff upstairs, but it was really nice to meet you. And I went upstairs and I was reading a Star Trek technical manual. So I found this book called The Encyclopedic History of Professional Football. And Otis was in it, which I thought was cool. But then I kept turning the page, and there was this section called A Diagram History of Professional Football. And it featured, when you turned it, featured a photograph of Tom Landry with his snap-brim fedora and his Hart Schaffner Mark suit, and presentation of two of his innovations, one being multiple offense. And the diagram was really cool, and it really affected how I draw plays today. Like, for example, my offensive linemen are circles, my center is a square, my wide receivers are circles, my tight end is a circle.
Yeah.
My defensive linemen are triangles.
Triangles. Yeah.
That's what, right? That's where that came from for me. But what really I got from it was that Landry had, according to the write-up, and see, Donovan, you have to understand is in those days, we had no internet to look at. We didn't have anything real, right? You had to look at one picture, and if you're really into something, you took that picture, you looked at it again and again and again, like maybe 20 times.
I'm not that young, man.
How old are you? Dude, you look like you're like 23 or something.
No, 33.
Well, still 33. I mean, still, come on. I'm 60.
Okay,
I'm 61.
I was about to say, dude, 93. I was born in 93. I'm an unk, man. You know what though? Like I told Bill, like I also interview high school kids for a living, so it's kind of tough, dude.
That's got
So
to.
anyway, what
Yeah,
happened was
2007 kids,
right.
2010.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll just finish this. But what happened was that was why I became a huge Cowboys fan. And in '78, I wrote a letter. I was getting the Dallas Cowboys Weekly, which if you opened it up, it had this cheerleader spread. I mean, like this big. It was like, yeah, okay. But it had articles with Bob Brunig, with Randy White, with Ernie Stautner, with Gene Stallings, back, right? Yeah, legend. Alabama legend. And I wrote a letter to the Cowboys office asking what the keys in the flex defense were for Bob Brunig. And to my surprise, they wrote me back and invited me to visit the Cowboys offices. So Mom worked United. I could travel for free. I'd never travel free by myself though. So they worked it out with Mom worked it out with the Cowboys with Marge Kelly, I think her name was. And so I went for a Wednesday afternoon. Actually, it was Wednesday all day. I was supposed to be there at 9 o'clock. And so Mom got me a room at Reunion Tower, um, which was new in those days. Not the tower itself, but the hotel right next to it. It was both new. It was part of the Dallas Arts District.
Yeah.
And I was wearing a blue blazer, white shirt, red tie. Walked in to the 6116 North Central Expressway, 11th floor. Went up, got off, and the carpet's like it's blue on the sides and white in the middle, and you walk, and that continues throughout the floor. So I walked down, I turned left, went all the way to the end, and that's where Miss Kelly's office was. But also they had these other rooms, and they were having a defensive backfield meeting. But the defensive backfield meeting also included linebackers. But out came Randy Hughes, um, Dennis Thurman, who later became really accomplished coach.
Yeah.
Uh, still to today, and Cliff Harris, and I was like, and so they were like, "Why is this kid staring at us?" Right? So they put me in a room, uh, and they gave me 6 reels of film: Dallas Defense Reel 1, Dallas Defense Reel 2, Flex Strong Quality Control, Flex Weak Quality Control, Dallas Defense versus the I Formation Reel 1, and Dallas Defense versus the I Formation Reel 2. And I never worked a film thing, but it showed me how to do it. And there was one play that really just caught my eye, and I kept going back and forth with it. And actually, it's on YouTube. It's part of the Dallas Cowboys hosting the New England Patriots in 1978, and Bam Cunningham ran 56 yards for a touchdown. Yeah. But I had the end zone view, which you can get in those days anywhere but the coach's office with the film, right? And I'm just working it. I'm looking at everybody was flowing. I've got the Dallas Cowboys defensive playbook in my hand right before me. Okay, and I'm looking at where they're supposed to line up because they have these little bitty. They actually write out where your feet are supposed to be. I mean, it's very okay. And so and I'm writing down what I noticed. And what I noticed was that the flex is a zone defense against the run. All this has to do with Makovic, right? By the way, so okay, but a zone defense against the run. But what happened in this case was that John Hanna had the great guard with the New England Patriots, who was actually over Randy White. The Cowboys started off in flex weak, and they were shifting to flex strong. Okay, and so excuse me, reverse that. The Cowboys started off in flex strong, but they were start off in flex weak.
Yeah,
because Randy White was up. All right, on the side they were in brown. They were brown right, where the tight end was on the right, but flex weak is where Randy's White's up and Harvey Martin, rest in peace, is down on that side.
Right.
Okay? And then you have D.E. Lewis over here is the outside linebacker, right? And they shift. So White comes down right in the head of Hanna. Martin is up. And then what happens is that at the snap of the ball, for some particular reason, Bob Brunig got turned around. His back was to the wrong POA. At the same time, the center's bearing down on him. John Hanna hit Randy White so fast and so hard he froze like this.
Yep.
So while he's immobile, everybody is moving to the gaps. And so this thing's like, wow, it's a big ass hole and pew, touchdown. Okay.
Yep.
So Coach Startner came in and he goes, so what do you think? And he put up the board. And I said, well, can I? And I said, yeah. And he drew it out. And I said, I felt that in order to prevent that from happening again, that instead of the guard being over, or rather Randy White being over the guard, he should be between the guard center gap, and that way he could get him to it faster. Like a pre-snap, adjustment, right? Which Landry would never do. I can't understand why, for the life of me. But almost like an overset, right? Would have been perfect answer. Startner said that was the right answer. He goes, "That's right. That's a good idea." And that was so. I took the point of all that is Startner didn't get after me for being analytical. He didn't make fun of me. They treated me like a man. They treated me like an adult. It didn't matter what color I was. And look, this is 1975, okay? None of that. I had the greatest time. So here we go with John Malkovich. Brad Chan was a guy on Carroll D. Greg.
Yeah.
Great guy. I was listening to, I wound up going to Texas, Arlington, Donovan, because I was a Cowboys fan. I wanted to get as close to him. I wanted to, get there, to ride the bikes and all this stuff. I had drawn plays of the Cowboys, but my plays measured out exactly where the split end should be so that the split end could be in a certain position by the time the quarterback dropped back and everything else. I had everything measured out. And I had an idea to give to the Cowboys. And so I called into the program, and Malkovich was on thinking, oh, he's going to love this and yada, yada, yada. He talked to me on air, on the radio, like I was a junkyard dog, and I was a kid. Yeah. I was 17, and I cried, okay? Because I wasn't, I'm a kid, 17-year-old kid. And I never forgot it because my view of the Cowboys was everybody was like Landry, analytical. And then, of course, I had a taste of that, a big taste of that being in the office, right? Okay? But here comes Malkovich being a total asshole.
Yeah.
So to this day, I'm always gone with this, rest in peace, but I never wanted to meet him, never wanted to be in the same room as him.
No.
For that. And it's because, you have to be careful how you treat kids. Imagine if this was a social media era, right? I could have burned his ass online,
Oh, absolutely.
And I would have done it in a heartbeat.
And many others would have done that same thing as you just suggested, Zennie, because Malkovich was just
social media. Yeah,
he was an absolute a-hole. But I mean, for me, I grew up here in Edmonton, and Johnny Bright should have been the first African American to win the Heisman Award. He should have won the Heisman, but he went to Oklahoma A&M, which is now Oklahoma State, and they beat him up. They literally beat that man up.
Yep.
And he was drafted by the Eagles. He did not want to go to Philadelphia whatsoever. He came up here to Canada, and that man became a superstar up here, right?
Yep.
And because I grew up in Edmonton, there was a whole lot of African-American people who were there because they stayed after World War II because they weren't called the N-word. They weren't called boy. They were treated like men.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think the NFL, and that's what bothers me today about some aspects of the league. There's
I've said this before, Benny, and I've told Bill and Jeff on Draft Central. If I had you two guys and several other African Americans that I know of, there would not be a single white coach or a scout with the Cowboys today. If I owned that team, there would not be a single white man as a coach or as a scout. That's, but again, we have this old white guy mentality out there with these owners. 10 different coaching jobs this year. None of them go to an African American. That's totally
right. No, what's bothersome is it's this perception, and if you give somebody power, you can do this, but if they think, hey, you're not the kind of black person I'm used to hearing, and that can happen even with us, okay? Um, then you get marginalized, and
which is just
the beauty,
stupidity.
yeah, the beauty of the internet age, yeah, the beauty of the internet age is you can actually start a company online and mitigate some of that by just using your brains to create a company and help people in different ways that they never even saw coming. Or you can start a media company and to put out something that no one ever expected. I tell
Yeah.
everybody, I said, look, everybody has a superpower. I said, don't screw with people because you don't want to activate it. I keep telling like I said again and again and again. And that's why it's a beautiful time to be alive. You know,
Bill,
Yes.
how many PERs did you write up?
That's a great question, Greg.
Many, right?
Yes. A good number.
As I had to do. And I had to face these idiots in the Marine Corps who were biased against anybody who was African American.
Hey, what's a DER? What is that? What was it?
PER, personnel report.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And one time I even had to recommend.
It's like I'm watching Magnum PI because they're all
and even on one occasion I had to recommend someone for an Article 15 because they were operating a motor vehicle while they were clearly, intoxicated isn't a strong enough word. The kids say slapped nowadays.
Yeah.
This was otherwise, a fine soldier, but like had a problem with drinking, as unfortunately is very, very common. And for the grace of God, no one was injured, but this was a very unsafe situation. That was probably the most difficult. Other than combat itself, the most difficult thing I have to go through because this is a person who I really had otherwise a high regard for, but just now we know more about the nature of addiction and stuff like that. But in those days, it was just seen as essentially a form of dereliction of duty.
Yeah.
Hey, Donovan, question. What's your favorite offense to either develop or coach or both?
That's a tough question. I'm an air raid guy, man. Like,
Yeah, me too.
yeah. I mean,
Who's
I'm
your favorite air raid coach?
Say that again.
Who's your favorite air raid coach?
Oh, favorite air raid coach. Oh man, that's the even tougher question.
Mike Leach, come on, Leach,
Yeah.
I mean,
that's kind of the generic answer is Mike Leach.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I don't want to say that though. Just because he's like the guy. Probably Lincoln Riley. I mean, like Hal Mummy is like the Godfather, then Mike Leach is the pirate, but Lincoln Riley and Cliff, like I love Lincoln. I love what Lincoln does, man. I like Sonny too. Like my cousin played for Sonny, so big Sonny Dykes guy. He's obviously was under Hal Mummy, but I would say Lincoln Riley and Mike Leach. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Here's my favorite.
Obviously Mike is R.I.P. passed away, so I would say currently Lincoln Riley.
Here is my favorite air raid coach, and a cool guy. I gotta give him a call, see how he's doing. But now my system decides it doesn't want to work. Now it does. Okay, right here. Tony Franklin, Cal coach.
Oh yeah.
There you go. There you
go. Yeah.
Buddy, welcome. And
I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but when you have a chance, watch it. That was a good 1 hour and 5 minutes of fun, man. Blessed to I've interviewed him twice too. So great guy.
Yeah, actually, yeah. When my cousin played at Cal, he was with Franklin. So he was on defense.
Who's your cousin?
Darius Allensworth.
Oh yeah, he's your cousin. Cool. Go Bears.
Yeah, he's like, I don't have a brother, so I always say he's like my brother because I don't have a brother. So he has a brother. He's two, but Yeah, I don't have one, so he's the closest. We're actually just planning my wedding out. He's gonna obviously be in it, and
Oh, congratulations,
I
man.
mean, but yeah, Darius, he played at Cal for obviously 5 years, and yeah, Coach Franklin was there for 3, I want to say.
Yeah, then he went off to Eastern Illinois, I think it was. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Mother. Yeah. Yeah, that was the most exciting offense we had. That was like,
Yeah,
wow.
that Cal offense, so all those guys. I mean, I got to know a lot of those guys. You know, Chad Hansen and
Mhm.
met Jared when he was there, and just all those guys. Muhammad. He was there. Biagio, Ali Walsh. That was kind of at
Yep.
the end more so,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Davis, all those guys, man. Bryce Treggs is Darius' like best
Bryce
friend. So
Treggs. Yep.
all those guys, those are good guys. That whole Cal team was loaded. We were just talking about Ted Hansen the other day. I think me and Bill.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my cousin said that was the hardest receiver he had to guard. In practice, and you wouldn't think that because Chad doesn't look like he really. He looks like an accountant.
Yeah. Don't be
um,
fooled. Don't let the
yeah.
smooth taste fool you. He was a very deceptive route runner. Really good
Yep.
stem work.
Yeah, his route running was just Darius. He's like it's just crispy, man. And he's physical too. He's he's 6'2", 200, but he's physical. But yeah, no, I like Franklin's offense. Coach Franklin's offense was great for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. He had some.
I'll just to be somewhat different. I'll throw out Chris Hatcher, the Hatch Attack offense. Another descendant, obviously, of that
Yeah.
Hal Mummy tree, but like a slightly different spin on it. Partially because, I mean, he played right. He played in it when he was at Samford. He was a very productive I think 2-time first team All Southern Conference quarterback in that offense. And then he put his own spin on it once he got into coaching, and he's had some super productive offenses in his days as a coach.
Yeah. Great.
I'll be right back.
Hey, I was gonna say, guys, I do have to
Yeah, I
run.
know. We're gonna wrap in a second anyway, Don. But yeah, before
go ahead.
you
Okay.
run, tell people
Okay.
where you can find your work and where they can follow you.
For one, I just want to thank you guys again for having me on the show.
Yeah, come on back.
Always,
You have to come back and talk air raid, man.
yeah, I would love to talk air raid, man.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I love the West Coast offense too, like the old school kind of like West Coast. But I just grew up in a time where that offense, the air raid, was just like
Right.
just fun. Like I'm still old enough to remember like watching Cliff a little bit and Graham Harrell and those guys. So like now to see the coaching Lincoln Riley too, like Spav is one of the good ones. Holgerson was in there too. Sonny Cumby, all those guys. So I would love to talk air raid with you. Yeah, Josh Heupel, another one. So yeah,
Okay.
man, we'll talk that. But yeah, just follow me on X, at Don James Sports. The name remains the same. I finally don't call it Twitter now. I call it X officially. So
Oh, I'll never do that. I will never
man,
do that.
I thought I would never do it either, but now I guess I just sold out, man. I don't know. Even though they banned me from the app for a week, but I'm back.
What did you do?
Nothing really. It was like a miscommunication. I was talking about Bill Self needed to be like fired, and I accidentally said like cut self, and they said I was promoting self harming and
wow.
suicide, which I would never promote at all, like ever. I would never. To Bill Self's a legend. He's got two natties. I would never tell him to. And then Kansas fans were like, "You told Bill Self to kill himself and cut himself." I was like, "No, I didn't mean that." And I tried to message X, Twitter, whatever. And as a Tesla stockholder and owner, car owner, I thought I would get some leeway. But Elon didn't see my stuff. I guess he's busy. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, they're real busy because
Bill told me not to get the Tesla. I figured should listen to him.
but my 15,000.
But no, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, man, I'm just obviously working on draft stuff, just like you guys are doing. I'm sure as well. You guys are way more advanced than me at draft, so I have to defer to you guys. But always doing recruiting stuff, always doing draft stuff, and I got an interview with Lake McCree, USC tight end. Played at Lake Travis with Garrett Wilson and a bunch of air raid quarterbacks, right? Like you were talking about.
Oh, here's my
so,
other favorite air raid offense. This is mine. It's called the Eagle offense of the NFL, and actually, I wound up developing it, and I sent it to John Gruden and the Raiders, and I sent through Mike Taylor, and the Raiders actually wound up using it. And so, in fact, and you can find it if you just type Eagle Offense NFL Zennie, and then you can actually download the copy of it. And it's a 71-page playbook here.
Can we rename that to a hawk or something else other than come on?
I'll take that under consideration.
You're a Cowboys fan. We don't
Oh, that's
discuss
funny.
those guys.
That's funny. Tony Franklin wrote he wrote that the attention to detail and time you spent on your playbook ideas is a dedication unseen by most. Your love for the game is obvious and makes you much more committed than any reporter or fan. Good job. I don't know if that means I'm committed like insane or what, but
I mean, it could be six of one, half dozen of the other kind of situation.
Yeah, but check it out, man. I've got it's got diagrams in here. I actually also developed it for David Shaw, and coach, and I developed another. There it is. That's the base formation right there. 4 wide receivers here. Oh God, it keeps doing that. Anyway, check it out. Give it a download. No cost, free of charge, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys so much, Greg.
Hey,
hope the Cowboys have a great draft, man, and Zennie, I guess. And thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, take care, man.
God bless you.
Have a good night.
Congrats on your wedding, man. You got it.
Yeah, well, yeah, next year. But Bill soon. Bill before me. So.
Right, mine's on Halloween. His is next year.
Oh, okay.
You lucked out, Bill, Halloween, because Georgia, Florida, in my backyard, I always go to, but it's in Atlanta this year. It's not going to be the same, so I'm not going to go. I'll go to your wedding instead, I guess. That's how you know I love you, man. I'm missing.
That's how. Yes, Florida. Well, and I love you right back. I've known you since you were in. Had you just
actually
a sophomore in college?
I was like a 4th-year sophomore, but yeah.
4th-year sophomore, yes. Guess what? My daughter's caught that same disease. She is also a 4th-year sophomore.
Hey, COVID year, man. COVID year. That was pre-COVID.
Right.
I graduated college in 2019, right before COVID, actually. So
right.
Yeah.
That makes me feel young, I guess, kind of.
Yes, it should make you feel
young. 33. I got 30 years on you. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
You look good, man. You look good.
Hey. Yep. Just keep living.
I just stopped drinking. Like that's my secret. I just stopped drinking.
Good, right? No, hey, yeah.
No, Bill knows. I was wilding back in the day.
Oh, I remember young Donovan.
I probably would show up to the podcast probably like hungover, like for sure. So now I'm like, I'm drinking water now. Look at this, like.
Hey, awesome. Drink more juice than water. Keep your sodium level up. Same for your parents too. Because as they get older, they're going to have problems with their intestines and stool. Yeah. But make sure that they have more juice than water. I'm my mom. I got to go check on
her. I appreciate that because I'm a diabetic, so I appreciate it.
There we go. Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, yes. Thank you once again, Donovan. Greg, do you have any parting thoughts?
My parting thought, as you're well aware, I don't care about these guys' pro day numbers. I really don't, because I watch game film. So all these guys who are all excited over anybody's measurements and all this other BS, I don't care. I really don't care. Ardarius Washington, 5'7" safety. Hello, Jeff Kavanaugh and I were the only two guys who were out there pounding on Ardarius Washington.
Yeah.
Right. Aaron Donald, same thing. I don't care that he didn't fit the mold of a DT. He was a perfect player for this time. Yes. So again, don't give me their numbers. Jamard McCoy on the 31st, if he does run, that'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Right? But again, I don't care what he actually runs. I really don't.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you most NFL teams do care. I can tell you that with a fair amount of confidence.
Yeah, but you know what? I've got game tape of the guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
And
Greg,
there are teams.
Greg, I mean, you're right as far as the whole measurement thing. I think the one thing that I'm still not, and I'll never get used to it is, and I first experienced it at 49er training camp when I was economic advisor at Oakland Mayor Hillary Harris, and Al Casal had tapped me with the responsibility of getting the right parties together to bring back the 49er in a preseason game after the Raiders had come back to Oakland. Anyway, we were at Steve Mariucci had just been hired. I took my intern down there, had a great time. Um, and we were on the field, and there was some trainer talking with someone other coach, and they kept talking about some guy's arms. Did you see how big his arms were? And, all this? And I'm not wired that way. Okay, I'm not. I don't mean to make any statement that might be perceived as a certain way, but I'm just not wired that way. So it was like, now you want to talk about women? Okay, fine, but I'm just not wired that way.
no.
So, yeah.
Well,
And again,
there
because I grew up here in Canada as well, where we had a wide variety of size players like Gizmo Williams. I mean, that guy was just a
William and Mary legend.
Yeah, but he was just dynamite, absolute dynamite.
Yeah.
As a receiver, as a kick returner, punt returner, he was just dynamite. But again, the NFL has this mindset that every offensive lineman has to have a 33-inch arm, and this edge guy has to have a 32-inch arm. Or no, they don't. No, they don't.
Yeah. Well, here's what my parting thought is, Zennie, you would have really been uncomfortable when they used to do the Senior Bowl weigh-ins. It was sort of open, not to like the general public, but to media, coaches, scouts, etc. And these would be young men in essentially their boxer briefs or whatever. Yeah. And you get lots of comments about drivetrain and a guy's bubble and all kinds of stuff. So yes,
I know, but I went to Cal. I've been in the situation, but it's not my cup of tea.
No,
it just isn't. And I'm sorry, it just isn't. My interest has always been interviewing, giving people the experience of being there. So it's an entirely different way of doing media than the people who don't have the camera. So my interest is in giving people experience, they can talk to these people, that sort of thing, right? I believe regarding that in physical that if you really understand math and the mathematics of play design, that would be a freaking great book. That would be a great book, The Mathematics of Play Design.
That's a book you probably should write.
Yeah. So that interests me, right? That's why I own the bigdatabowl.com URL. I'm into that sort of thing, right? That's me. The other stuff, it's like I figure I can mathematically figure out a way and I can figure out a mathematical answer to anybody's defense. That's just is that arrogant? Yeah, I admit it. That's just, that's me.
I mean, there are some legitimate biomechanical things about, leverage and angles of insertion and, all the, if your shoulders are narrower versus wider, and if your hips are narrower versus wider, and leg length, and, if you are more thigh dominant in terms of leg length or more shin dominant, there are some things that actually biomechanically matter. And, I have friends who are exercise physiologists and stuff like that who, in fact, last time I was at the combine, I was sitting next to the guy that coaches triple jump, shout out to, he knows who he is, at Southern Illinois University, and also helped some of the SIU athletes prepare for the combine for things like the vertical testing and stuff like that, and broad jump. And he was explaining how he would say, well, that guy's overpronated, or that guy's, and things you could do to try to fix certain things, and how some of those things, though people like to say it doesn't apply to football, if you're smart, it does apply to football. If you know how to coach guys. But the thing is, a lot of the coaches, they learn a lot of things specific to coaching the sport, but unless they're strength and conditioning guys, they don't tend to learn a lot of the biomechanical stuff.
That's right.
And so when they are designing plays or designing whatever, they don't always realize, is this a play that maximizes this player's biomechanical
ability,
potential or abilities, or does it go against what he's actually good at doing physically? And so there's been a lot of football that has been maybe less effective than it could be if coaches were more biomechanically aware of, hey, in this particular play at this angle, you're asking him to make this particular block, he's not going to make it. Like against that guy.
Yeah, but Bill,
it's not just this guy's
too,
bigger, stronger, faster. It's that
people
your
actually,
guy's particular like.
Right.
We talked. There was a guy named Adrian Claiborne.
Bill. People will actually argue with me, like for example, a popular play in the NFL for some ungodly reason is, you know what? I gotta check on my mom. Just
well,
that's not that
well,
important.
We're wrapping pretty much anyways, Eddie. We're about to call it. Right. All right. Well, then I guess I will tell my Adrian Claiborne story.
Yes, tell Adrian Claiborne.
So you may remember Adrian Claiborne actually had a congenital defect. It wasn't super serious.
Yeah.
But no matter what he did, one side of his body was noticeably weaker than the other side of his body.
Mm-hmm.
And there had been a lot of concern about it. I remember, some teams, once again, had him almost either, if not off the board, almost off the board. And, he had a solid NFL career, but you had to be specific, right? And where you put him, you had to be careful about alignments and things like that, because if he was in the wrong position, he could get, one, it could make him more likely to get hurt, but more likely it just means he was going to miss that tackle every time, right?
That's right.
He just wasn't as strong on this half of the body as he was on the other half of the body. And you just had to, say, well, we're going to rotate you. We're going to kick you over to that side, or we're going to, cock you to this angle or things like that to try to make sure that you were accounting for that. There have been guys who, have had partial blindness, guys who had significant hearing loss. There have been successful players with, literally missing body parts in a few cases, right?
Yeah.
But you have to, from Tom Dempsey to more recently, though this was, later in his playing career, we began to miss body parts. But we've had players who had to work around or work through certain things.
Yeah.
And that's where, once again, your coaching intelligence really kicks in, is if you realize how you can still work with a player who does have a significant deficit. And of course, very famously, Ryan Clark had to be rushed to the hospital because, he tried to play, in Denver, and he has sickle cell trait. And, he was in crisis at one point.
Crisis. He was very close to passing away.
It was scary. It was a very scary moment. And, if I'm a prayer person on it, I don't know, whatever people, if you don't, you don't, if you do, you do. And, I've been a fan of his. Even he played for two teams I grew up rooting for. So that played into it, I guess. But, and even back at LSU, I was a big fan of his. And you mentioned your thing about testing numbers. The reason Ryan Clark went undrafted, despite being a very good player at LSU, is he had not great testing numbers. His testing numbers were
exactly.
very bleh. Very bleh.
The guy ended up playing for how long in the NFL though?
I think 12 years.
But his testing numbers sucked.
They were bleh.
But,
they were bleh.
But his film showed the guy could play though. That's my whole key to this.
Right. Well, what I would say is I think everything matters. I don't think there's anything that does not matter, but you have to know which things matter more and less. And how do you plan for it? Because you can have a player who is, undersized or even oversized. Now, very few guys. Terrence Cody leaps to mind, right? A guy who, flirted with 400 pounds. I think he was 405 at one point early in his Alabama career.
The kid who was drafted last year or picked up by Tampa Bay, who was right 470 pounds.
I think Mr. Watson at one point got to 420. Shout out to my girlfriend, but he did drop some weight. Some, in air quotes or whatever. But the thing about players like that is it's more just the stamina is the real issue, right?
Oh, yeah.
It is an issue because teams will just try to take that guy up tempo and lock him onto the field, and you can see him become less and less effective. the pad level goes higher and higher. And, you know, now a guy he outweighs by 117 pounds is throwing him around like a rag doll.
Yeah.
So,
here's another
big
guy.
Person, right?
Here's another guy who is being knocked down draft boards for some ungodly reason. Is Caden Proctor? If you take a look at Caden Proctor's tape this year, he faced Zion Young at Missouri and all these other guys in the SEC.
Yep.
He didn't give up a single sack to any of these guys that are eligible in this draft that he went up against. He gave up one sack against Florida State, and I think that
early in the year,
it was a sophomore. It was the first game of the year, and this kid's a sophomore, and that's the only sack that man gave up. Period. So against the best of the SEC, he was perfect.
Yeah,
but people are knocking him down, and it's just why.
I mean, I think he's more a right than a left tackle, but that's not the worst thing in the world. Is he a person who's prone to certain things? Like, does he have a tendency to kind of, I don't know if he's guessing or what, but he definitely can get caught sometimes, but he's powerful, obviously.
But I think that's because he's not able to play on the left-hand side. When he was the right tackle prior to, he was just fine. Now other guys like Riley Mahlman can play left and right. Right.
Which is incredibly valuable. The ability to show you can do both at a fairly high level. It means you're going to cash game checks for a very long time in the NFL. Even if you're not a guy who's seen as an actual starter, if you're a guy who's a swing guy or a guy who's backing people up, the fact that you can play either side and do it close to evenly, you know, close to the same level of effectiveness. Yeah, that's basically a license to print money for about a decade in the NFL.
Well, bingo,
you can do both reasonably well.
Nathan.
Okay, Zennie's returned.
Nathan.
So Zennie, what are your final thoughts, sir?
My final thoughts are: we have another month to go, roughly.
We do,
and we need to do a mock draft.
Well, we can definitely do one either later this weekend. I guess I have to see what everyone's availability is, but I'll put the word out. And
we're on Draft Central next Wednesday night at 7:30 Eastern Time.
Yes,
we're going to teach people how to build an NFL board.
Draft board. Yes.
And guess what? We're going to use the 2016 Cowboys as an example, Mr. Bill.
I know we will. I'm okay with that.
Yes, but because
I'm familiar with a couple other teams' approaches. I have a friend who works for the Falcons and a friend who works for.
But the Cowboys board is actually used more by other teams than any other board.
It is very common, correct?
Yeah.
There's about
that's why I
3 or 4 different methodologies, but you're right. That one is one of the most common.
Yeah. So again,
yes, we will indeed walk people through that, and why it is your friend with the 400 players, on his board is, well, that's cool. It has nothing to do with what NFL teams do.
No, that's us. That's us scouts. That's us scouts. That's who does 400 people on a board.
Right.
The NFL teams, no, they don't have that many guys.
Nowhere close. Yeah.
And we're only going to do the first 4 rounds, by the way. Just
makes sense. Perfect.
Just because again,
so that the next time you see us, we'll have our mock draft hats on. Once again, on behalf of myself, first of all, I want to thank Donovan. Donovan has a lot going on right now, but he made time to be with us. That's always great. Happy to have you. I guess we are brothers again, Greg. We get to be joined together again. That's exciting. The more Greg Rector in my life, the better.
Well, Bill, just so you understand, Zennie, the one thing I did not understand about scouting in this world was offensive tackles, right? I understood how guards and centers played, but the offensive tackle was, I'm not anywhere near that size, right? I have no concept of that. But Jeff and Bill taught me that, if they don't have that slide step, you're done.
Yep.
Your history, right?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's this whole shooting match. And that's why I get so excited.
The only way around that
a high-level discus, high-level shot put guy, because that means you have great balance and great
Bill, the only way around that is if you have a nice offensive coordinator who happens to say, "Oh, by the way, it's okay to split out an extra half yard."
Yeah, well,
yeah,
or if you have
too far
very understanding officiating, it lets you cheat a little bit.
That's right.
Also, that's also a thing I've seen more recently in the last couple of years.
Jawan Taylor is the perfect example of that.
He's not the only one who does it, but he's the one who does it the most blatantly.
Yeah.
So I will see all you gentlemen again very, very soon. It is always a pleasure. Zennie, give people your classic Zennie sign off, and we'll call it a night.
Hey everybody, subscribe to Zennie62 and bookmark Zennie NFL News by Zennie62.com. That's NFL News by Zennie62.com. And again, that's NFL News by Zennie62.com.
Ask for it by name, except no substitutes.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah. All these great gentlemen are there, and here, and there, and here and there. Welcome aboard, Greg. Great to have you.
Yes, welcome.
Oh, absolutely.
You got it. All right. See you guys.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.
That ends this stream. Oh, and you guys don't have to do anything. I got it.
Yep.